So you've spoken briefly just about some upcoming events that are going to be happening. I want to know what on the whole has GTMA got planned for the year of 2025? I know we're still in the beginning of the year, so I wanted to know what plans you have throughout the different seasons of this year.
Sure. And the biggest show in the UK is MAC, and MAC's taking place in 2026.
Okay.
And therefore there's an opportunity in 2025 for GTMA to put on more events and engage with more events, whereas next year that will be reduced around that time window of MAC, because our members will be fully committed, or many of our members will be fully committed to the MAC event at the NEC in Birmingham in April next year. So this year already, by April, we have represented our members at 6 events. 2 of those events have been GTMA events, and one of those was around tool making, the other one was around make, measurement, matter and machining. Very successful events, engaging our members, displaying our members' capability to a wider audience. The other events have been third-party events, trade shows and technical events, where we're always carrying the message of what our members' capability is. So it's not for us to be selling GTMA, it's for us to be selling the capability and the availability of our members. So it's been a busy 3 months. That will continue. As we move forwards, our next highlight will be our show in Limerick. We run this with the Technical University of the Shannon in Limerick, and there we will have 120 exhibitors, including machine demonstrations. We can run this as a 2-day show. Next year, because it's a MAC year, we'll do it as a 1-day show. This will be the 9th time that we've run this show down in Limerick, only interrupted by the COVID pandemic. It's a very well attended show. It tends to focus around the main industries around that Limerick Shannon area, which are essentially biotech, with companies like Johnson & Johnson, Zimmer Biotech, and other players, and the aerospace industry around the Shannon. So very interesting for our members to have representation there, and also people from Ireland to have representation at the event, to be talking to UK companies. So it has that bi-directional capability. I'm really looking forward to that show. That's the middle of June, 11th and 12th of June. And as with all of our shows, it's free to attend, free to park, free teas and coffees and biscuits if people are lucky.
That's always a benefit.
It's always a benefit. And that will be great in June. And the next horizon, if you like, for GTMA in terms of our own event is at the tail end of the year in September, where we are for the first time running an event in Northern Ireland, in Belfast. This will be a smaller event, than the Limerick event, similar to what we ran earlier in the year at Mazak in Worcester. So we will have something like 40 exhibitors, tabletop exhibits, and some key speakers at the event. These are really good, really strong networking events for our members, by our members, and attracting external people. So it increases the pool of influence for our members in those geographic areas of Ireland and Northern Ireland in the case of this year. And we have something like another 10 trade shows where we will be in attendance and supporting our members and representing our members later this year. I think that the landscape commercially at the moment means that companies that are operating on tight budgets and they're not necessarily able to release key personnel for numbers of days, and so a few hours here and a few hours there is more likely. So I do think that 1-day events, pop-up type events, are going to be, certainly in the short term, more accessible to a lot of our member companies.
Right, it's just a little bit of a pivot, but I still wanted to mention it, just with the current increasing presence of AI in the world and in everybody's companies at the moment. Are you at all worried about the presence of AI and how it can potentially invalidate what you do with the GTMA in a way, or are you worried about your members seeing AI as a threat to their membership with the GTMA?
Gosh, that's a big box to unpack.
Yes,
really.
I know, yeah.
From GTMA's perspective, I am not worried about AI in terms of how the GTMA operate. We, like our member companies, need to be proactive, adopt AI where it's available and where it can make a positive difference.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose competitive advantage. AI, I'd like to roll that back and say that AI is being toted around as a product.
Yeah.
I don't see it in that way. AI is a process or a methodology. In the same way that other technologies have come on over time and they've enhanced what can be done. As an example, I would use additive manufacturing or 3D printing or desktop printing or rapid prototyping as it was originally conceived.
Yeah.
Was originally seen as a global world-changing technology. It's great, but it's another tool in the toolbox. And that's what AI should be seen as being.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people should be afraid commercially of approaching, experimenting with AI. It's already present in many of the functions that people are using with online tools, for instance. In manufacturing, we've seen an evolution from logic systems to feedback systems to active feedback systems in machining technology, for instance. And AI is simply an iterative increase in there in terms of data crunching.
Yeah.
So it's the speed that gives AI the advantage over other existing technologies or past technologies. It's not something to be afraid of. A word of caution from me is you need to be able to trust the output from AI. And in order to trust the output, you have to trust the input. So you put rubbish in, you get rubbish out. It's the same with any system. But verified outputs are really what's important. So act quickly, adopt quickly, verify outputs, understand how much you can trust the outputs. And these in manufacturing terms will be data. It's data in, data out. I know that in terms of the person on the street, it might be script, it might be answers to a question. In terms of manufacturing, it's output in terms of positioning data, it's output in terms of quality data, interpretation, surface measurement. These are absolutes, and therefore it's a little bit easier to quantify the value of AI by applying a technology and then measuring the output against what you know it is and what AI has predicted. And then you can get that gap down and then you can refine it. And I think that the dynamic capability of UK companies means that adoption will be swift, implementation will be swift, and the competitive advantage of UK innovation will be maintained.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think with I think everybody gets so overwhelmed with again, like you were saying, with the speed of AI and how it can all happen. But would you argue that AI can never be as personal as what you do with the GTMA and the companies that are part of the GTMA?
Never's a long time.
Yeah.
So let's pull that back in. It is available and it can offer huge advantages if used correctly and if found to be turning out the right results. So that's where I would position it. It's another tool in the toolbox.
Yes.
And if you don't incorporate it in your activities, you're missing a trick.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just urge companies to not be afraid of it. It's being bandied around everywhere. Every discussion I have seems to touch upon it. Everything that I read touches upon AI. And going back to what I said earlier, it's not a product. You don't buy AI off the shelf and it solves your problems. It's implementing it as part of your methodology to get from A to B or A to Z.
Yeah, okay. And do you implement it as part of your way of working with your clients as well? Do you use AI in any particular way?
Yes, we're already using AI in some of our digital offerings.
Yeah.
The GTMA service in terms of face-to-face service is literally that. It's a people-to-people service. So there is still massive value with getting people together at a small networking event or at a trade show, because discussions you have there can't be replaced by a systematic approach.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where people instantly Google to find the answer.
Yeah.
Well, that's operating using AI tools now.
Yeah.
And increasingly, people will rely on those outputs.
Yeah.
And that's the scary bit for me,
Yeah.
is people blindly trusting an output without verifying the accuracy of it.
Mhm.
And I think that's a cautionary tale.
Very interesting.